The human mind is a remarkable navigator of straight lines. It constructs linear narratives that move from a beginning to an end, measuring progress from point A to point B. Yet, in the quiet hum of our own bodies, a deeper geometry whispers a different truth, a geometry of spirals. Look to the very blueprint of life. Our DNA is not a ladder of static rungs, but a dynamic double helix spiral on eternal dance of complementary strands. Our consciousness does not move in a straight line of logic. It spirals, revisiting lessons at deeper levels, expanding awareness and widening circles from a stable center. We are both a cell on this grand spiral of existence and, in our perception, the spiral itself, unfolding and enfolding simultaneously. This is the spiral perspective. To live from this perspective is to transcend the tyranny of the linear and enter into the harmony of what appears to be opposition. The Hermetic Principle of Polarity teaches that everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Yet, these poles are not endpoints on a line to be chosen between. They are the dynamic tensions of a single spinning sphere. The inhale and the exhale of one continuous breath. We often mistake these for problems to be solved, seeking a single final answer. Do we compete or do we cooperate? The spiral perspective reveals this as a false choice. There are polarities to be managed, ongoing, dynamic tension that requires balance, not a permanent solution. This is not a compromise. This is the art of both and thinking. Both and thinking. It is recognizing that like the inhale and exhale, each pole is vital, and the system dies if one is chosen forever. The spiral moves between them, drawing energy from each in turn. We see this spiral dance manifest with profound elegance in the natural world. Consider the delicate, intricate partnership between the yucca plant and the yucca moth. For millions of years, their existence has been a silent, specific covenant. The yucca plant cannot pollinate itself. Its flowers are structured in a way that prevents self-fertilization, and no other insect is adapted to perform the task. It relies utterly on the female yucca moth. The moth, in turn, has no other purpose for the eggs. She must lay them within the developing ovary of the yucca flower, and her larvae can feed on nothing else but developing seeds of that specific plant. Here is where the spiral reveals itself. The female moth does not merely take, she first gives. She collects pollen from one yucca flower, actively forming it into a sticky ball with her specialized mouthparts. She then flies to another flower where she deliberately deposits her eggs into the pistil. But her work is not done. She then climbs to the top of the stigma and packages the pollen she carried directly onto the receptive surface, ensuring the flower will be fertilized and produce seeds. The developing moth larvae will then consume a portion of the seeds, a clear competition for the plant's reproductive resources. But this is no act of random parasitism. It is a precise, negotiated exchange. The moth instinctively consumes only a limited number of seeds, leaving more than enough for the plant to reproduce. The plant provides a secure nursery and food, but it gains guaranteed, meticulous pollination that no other agent can offer. They are bound in a covenant where the act of consumption, competition, is inseparable from the act of creation, cooperation. One cannot exist without the other. The moth would have no future and the yucca would bear no fruit. It is a partnership of such specificity that each yucca species often has its own dedicated species of moth, a one-to-one spiral of destiny. This is not mere symbiosis, it is a biological expression of a sacred contract where giving and taking, competing and cooperating are revealed as the faces of the same unified life force. This pattern of coopetition, this word is a combination of competition and cooperation. Coopetition structures entire ecosystems. On the African savanna, herds of zebras and wildebeests often graze together. They compete for the same grass, yet their cooperation is life-saving. Zebras, with their sharper vision, are often the first to spot predators. Wildebeests, with their keener sense of smell, detect danger from another direction. By blending their herds, they create a superior, collective, early warning system. They compete for food, but cooperate for survival, understanding instinctively that the polarity between them creates a stronger whole. The spiral enlarges to include them all. This wisdom is not lost to the natural world. It is the engine of foundational human innovation. Look at the early days of the automotive industry and the cross-licensing agreement of 1915. The fledgling car manufacturers were mired in costly, paralyzing patent lawsuits, particularly around the Selden patent, which claimed a monopoly on the basic concept of a gasoline-powered automobile. This legal competition threatened to stifle the entire industry before it could truly begin. The resolution was an act of forced cooperation. The major manufacturers formed the Association of Licensed Automobile Manufacturers, ALAM, which later evolved into a cross-licensing agreement that pulled all key patents. Competitors like Ford, General Motors, and others agreed to share patent technology for a small fee. This did not erase their fierce market competition. It freed them from legal strangulation so that competition could flourish on the racetrack and in the showroom, not in the courtroom. They cooperated on the foundation to compete in the expression, spiraling the entire industry forward. Even the digital world we inhabit is built upon this spiral. The very foundation of the internet rests on open source software. Linux, the operating system that runs the vast majority of the world's servers, is not owned by any one corporation. It is the product of global cooperation. Thousands of programmers, many from competing firms like IBM, Google, and Intel, contribute code to a shared kernel for the benefit of all. These companies then compete fiercely to sell their own specialized services, support, and distributions based on that shared cooperative foundation. The cooperative core enables endless competitive innovation at the edges of the spiral turns. The ultimate metaphor for this is the relationship between a single drop of water and the ocean. The drop is a distinct individual entity. It can compete with other drops, reflecting light in its own unique way. Yet, it is also indisputably of the ocean. In a storm, drops may crash against one another as waves, a phenomenon of competition. But the wave itself is a cooperative phenomenon, a unified expression of countless drops moving in harmonic rhythm. The drop cannot exist without the oceanic whole, and the ocean is nothing but the collective expression of all drops. We are that drop. We are that wave. Our individual aspirations, our competitive drive to express unique talents, are the crest of our own wave. Yet, our fundamental substance is drawn from our contributes to a vast interconnected ocean. Our breath is a perfect microcosm. The inhale is an act of drawing in, of claiming from the environment. a moment of self. The exhale is an act of release, of giving back, a moment of other. We cannot choose to only inhale or only exhale. The spiral of our life depends on this ceaseless rhythmic polarity. Therefore, the path of integration is to recognize the spiral nature of our being. We are a cell on the spiral, a unique point of consciousness, and we are the spiral, the entire journey. Our task is to play our critical role without prejudice, like air in the lungs that does not judge the inhale as good and the exhale as bad. It simply flows. Bring this wisdom down. When facing a tension between asserting our view and listening to build consensus, we can see it as a spiral turn. We assert to define a point, then listen to integrate other points, creating a new, wider understanding, a higher loop on the spiral. Mastery lies in managing the rhythm. We can feel for the early warning signs that we are stuck on one pole. Is relentless competition creating isolation? That is a signal to spiral toward cooperation. Is endless cooperation leading to stagnation? That is the signal to spiral toward healthy individuation. So, we can release the anxiety of the straight line. We are not racing from a start to a finish. We are unfolding. Like DNA, we are coated with infinite potential, expressing it in cycles and seasons. Our consciousness spirals upward in widening circles that encompass more truth, more paradox, more life. We are the drop, knowing its own beauty. We are the wave, knowing its collective power. In the serene, spinning heart of the spiral, all opposites are reconciled in the endless creative dance of becoming.